Hello, welcome back to the channel, and today we'll be talking about the 10 most important games and the most influential games of this season upcoming for college football. We'll start off with Texas and Alabama. Now this will be in week 2. This will be the standalone game, college game day, all that. It's going to be really interesting to see because we want to know what Texas is like, and everyone's already written off Alabama except Vegas, and I think that we're going to really see how both teams respond, right? And I was kind of talking about the other day that I'm worried about Texas' defense, and Alabama has basically said all but that they're going to run the ball like nobody's business. Chase McClellan, I think, is going to be a dark horse Heisman candidate. He really is going to be up there running the ball like nobody's business. And it doesn't matter who Alabama's quarterback is because they're going to pound the damn rock. The offensive line is really good. All they're going to do is just, run it down their people's throats, and they're just going to continue on their way. I think they're going to beat Texas quite handily. I know Texas is the sexy team. They've got all the stars. They got all the studs. But they're a big underdog in Vegas for a reason. And I know a lot of people are like, hey, look, the game is played on the field and not what Vegas says. But Vegas is usually right, and the buildings and the lights are bright, and the buildings are tall in Vegas for a reason. So I'll trust Vegas on this one, and the fact that Nick Saban's pissed off. And, every 3 years they've played for a national championship or won it or something crazy stat recently. But I don't know if they'll do that, but they're definitely going to be able to beat Texas. But this game's going to be a really good indication of who's for real. Like, if Alabama soundly defeats Texas, it's like, okay, they're back. And if Texas beats Alabama, my goodness, is Texas back. And, everyone's waiting to say those words and actually mean it deep in the season for a very long time. Up next, LSU Alabama. So we already kind of talked about Alabama, but this is a one that's going to be like, all right, look, so assuming Alabama beats Texas, right? This is going to be like, how good, though, is Texas? How good is the rest of the SEC? Because my imagining is the SEC West is going to be decided by this game, as it usually kind of is the past few seasons. If LSU beats Alabama again, they're going to be on that national championship destination. I guess a lot of people think they're going to be on. Jaden Daniels probably get some Heisman looks if they win, because I imagine he's going to have to go crazy to do that. Harold Perkins, the really good linebacker, will be doing his thing, running all over the field with that. And I think that if we see, the winner of this game, again, I think we'll have a good look at the potentially the 4 spot, or no, it'd be the 3 spot most likely, with Georgia being the 1 spot in the playoff. So my guess is the winner of the Big Ten plays the winner of this game in a neutral site, all things considered. If the Pac and Big 12 and ACC continue to fall on themselves as they've been the past few seasons, then I think this is a very high likelihood. It's going to be very interesting. It always is, and cannot wait for that game to happen. I'm going to continue the pattern for a little bit more here of just teams playing games next to it. What I mean by that is LSU Florida State's next game. Similar to Texas, Alabama in almost every way, where it's like, look, the winner of this game is going to be pretty highly ranked. I'm planning on releasing a ranking system soon where it's week on week, and it actually matters based on your building your resume from scratch, and every team is the same in my eyes. The first, the winner of this week here obviously is going to have the best win in the country starting off immediately. And I think that if Florida State does it again, it's like, whoa, they're really back. And if LSU wins and revenges last season, it's like, okay, they already have a really good resume built. And that's kind of what this game's going to be. It's a good resume stuffer for out of conference. If LSU loses in the championship game to Georgia, it can be like, look, but they beat Florida State, who played Clemson in the ACC championship game, or vice versa. LSU was in the SEC championship game and Florida State beat them. How crazy is that, right? That's kind of what I think that game's going to do. And it was a very good game last year, and it will do the same here. I believe it's also the game on Sunday night, so it's another standalone game. So that's great planning there, and I kind of like that it's neutral site but close. It's better, but it's a better spin on the neutral site thing. Up next, again, continuing what I was saying, Florida State Clemson, kind of the same thing here. This is the championship of the ACC. Winner of this game likely wins the conference, or is at least going to be the favorite going into the final game. I think it's going to be Clemson. I think Clemson's going to run through everyone and be undefeated this year, but that's just me. And it's a good barometer for both teams, mostly for Clemson, though, right? It's their first real test. I've got a pretty easy schedule up until that point. So Florida State comes into your house, you got to take care of business and let them know that this is still your conference. And if Florida State, wins this game, that LSU game is back is out of sight, out of mind, assuming you lose it. If they win both, again, like I said, they'll be a top 5 team immediately. I mean, within 4 games, they'll have beaten 2 playoff contenders. That's something we haven't seen in a very long time. So moving on to half ACC school in Notre Dame, Ohio State. Both teams have new quarterbacks. One's proven. One, we still don't even know who the hell he is. It is August, and we don't know who the quarterback for Ohio State is going to be. We do know it's going to be Sam Hartman for the Golden Domers of Notre Dame. And their defense is all right. Ohio State's defense needs to be improved. This will be the first team they play with a really good offense to have to try to adjust themselves. Notre Dame's at home. This would be a huge statement win. If they win this game, Notre Dame could really, really, really find themselves back in the playoff picture. They've been out for a few seasons. But if Ohio State wins this game, this is the insurance that, this is the game that they could use to be like, look, we lost to Michigan at the end of the year, but we beat Notre Dame, so we deserve the 4th spot in the playoff, kind of like we saw last year with actually the exact same thing with the Notre Dame game. So it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, they're both Michigan's rivals, but I'm rooting for Notre Dame, of course, because I hope Ohio State loses every game. So, Up next, Michigan, Penn State. I can kind of pair this with Michigan, Ohio State, but Penn State's the new sexy team on the block. This is the game that they're likely going to win out of Michigan, Ohio State based on point spreads. I have full confidence Michigan wins this game, but again, I'm biased, so I have my shirt on. I like to do that when Michigan's involved, so everyone knows what's going on. But, Penn State, again, new kid on the block. Michigan light in my eyes. But I think Michigan can really establish themselves here. If you go into Happy Valley, it's not a white out, but it'll be the white and blue. They're doing the almost the checkerboard thing that Tennessee does, but white and blue like striped or whatever. I think that is a pretty big statement. It's a road game. It's like, look, the last 2 years not been a fluke. Michigan runs this. We're beating Penn State again, and I would bring a lot of questions on James Franklin potentially. I know there's not many discussion about him on the hot seat, even close, but. If you lose to Ohio State and Penn State again with this roster, it was kind of Sean Clifford was kind of an out for him. They might start thinking about some questions going forward, but I would doubt it, but something to think about. And then Michigan, Ohio State's next game. It's the game, right? It has to be on here. I think this is the battle of who wins the Big Ten once again, and Michigan's going to win for the 3rd straight year by double digits again at home. And it's just going to be another barometer where it's like, look, Michigan is here. And it's going to be interesting to see because, again, Ryan Day's got to swagger back a little bit. Screw Utah for letting screw USC for letting Ohio State get into the playoff, and get that swag back that they had at the end of the game despite their loss to Georgia. Ryan Day was kind of like feeling himself. They're starting to win some recruiting here, but the Scott guys, Aaron Scott and Justin Scott, right, were really closely committed to Michigan and ended up choosing Ohio State. But if you beat them soundly again and that defense looks as bad as it did, why not come over to the good guy side? Come on up north to that team up north and join it, and then not worry about Ohio State and be better prepared for your life going forward. Not a recruiting pitch, but I do what I can, right? But yeah, that's obviously the most important game of the year for the Big Ten every year, usually, and no exception here. Final 3 games here. This one is going to be Texas, Oklahoma. The Red River Shootout always is important. This is the last one in the Big 12. I believe this year it'll actually be for the Big 12. I predicted a rematch of this game as my official prediction a few months ago. When I get a little bit closer, I might do some more updated predictions. But right now, that's what I have predicted is Texas, Oklahoma being played twice. So this is the one I'll talk about for sure. But I do think Texas will win the regular season. Oklahoma will win the final one because they'll just get the better defensive matchup. Oklahoma's got a bit more to feel out. But if similarly to the Florida State Clemson game, the winner wins the conference, basically. Well, it'll be the favorite to win the conference for sure. And it'll help wash out earlier games, right? Because everyone thinks Texas is going to win, but I've already said Bama's going to beat them. And it's like, okay, Bama's going to beat Texas, no problem. So Texas, you lost to Bama, but they're really good. Watch us beat the hell out of Oklahoma again. We did 49-0 last year. We're going to do it again this year, right? That's what Texas is saying. Oklahoma, you're coming off of the worst season you've had in a long time where you still went to a bowl game, which is pretty good, right? And Venables can be like, nah, I needed 1 year to settle in. This is my team. Look at these trenches I've built. I've got all these really good offensive linemen, all these good defensive linemen. Dylan Gabriel's still my guy right now. Jackson Arnold's coming in next year, but look, he's my guy right now. Dylan Gabriel, we're going to go out and win this game. And if they do it, a lot of people are going to forget about last year, especially if they're a Boomer Sooner fan. But it's something to think about, but I think this game obviously is important every year, but it's going to be very important this year, especially the last one of being in the Big 12. So at least it'll be maybe a big deal about it. But the penultimate game here, Tennessee, Georgia. This one's going to be the is Georgia for real or not, or even it is Tennessee real as well, because their schedule is super easy for Georgia. Tennessee probably is going to have a loss coming into this game, whether it be Bama or A&M, in my opinion. Maybe even Florida catches them off, but I doubt that one. So you're going to be really locked in for this game. Obviously, it's going to be a crazy environment. It's going to be the toughest environment Georgia's played in all year, and at this point, we'll know pretty much what both teams are. A little bit less for Georgia because of their no fault of their own, their schedule being bad. The teams on them just stink. And if they beat Tennessee, it's like, okay, three-peat, here we go. It's theirs to lose, right? And if they somehow lose and Tennessee lost to either A&M or Alabama on the west side, Tennessee could be in the driver's seat to go to the SEC championship game and potentially the college football playoff, which would be insane of a turnaround for Josh Heupel. He'd probably win Coach of the Year, I'd imagine. They beat Alabama one year and Georgia the next. My goodness, those uprights are so screwed. They'll end up in the ocean. They'll somehow end up in the ocean. They'll get in the river and they'll find their way in the ocean. It'll be that crazy of a party there. But the final game, Washington at USC. I think this is the two top teams in the Pac-12 because I think Washington's going to take care of business against Oregon. As good as Oregon is, I don't know if they have the juice, but USC, this is their big test. They got a really good offense coming in on Washington. We'll see how good that defense is before they move to the Big Ten. Like I kind of talked about the other day with teams in danger of falling off. It's like, look, they really got to make sure that defense is good. But this is a good game every year. These Pac-12 teams play it real tight. And I'm super high in Washington this year. And I think that they can get it done and they can win on the road. And if Caleb Williams pulls it off, this could be a good way for him to be the first repeat Heisman in God knows how long. So these are my 10 games I think are the most important. Honorable mention to Miami and Texas A&M. Loser of that game is in deep trouble, and their fans are going to come for their coach's neck. But, yeah, that's kind of all I got for now. We're getting so close to college football. A lot more content coming. I'm just trying to still plan out in my head how to attack this season. It's my first year doing YouTube in the season, whether to do specific game previews, overall previews, things like that. But, yeah. That's all I got for now. Let me know if you agree with this list or not. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.